How do we consistently book 90 plus qualified sales calls every single month on a commission only basis? All right. And genuinely, if you have heard about, I will bet you $10 million you've never heard of the system I'm going to show you today and the processes that I'm going to show you today. Like I guarantee, I bet you $1 million, $10 million. Of course, I'm not going to actually send that to you, but I bet you've never heard of these systems before. But before we get into it, I genuinely do not want you to watch this video. Click off the video right now if these things don't apply to you. Okay, if you're not burnt out with the day-to-day complexity of your business, just juggling client results, right, with the amount of money that you're making and just day-to-day complexity, it's just becoming very operationally complex. Maybe with the amount you're offering to your clients, you just haven't really systemized anything, right? You don't experience any ups and downs in your acquisition, right? Peaks and troughs, right? Something's good one month and the next month it's just absolutely horrible. If you're not fiending for more clients inevitably, right? Literally like Dave Chappelle right here, fiending for them. You need to be desiring clients with your life, man. Okay. And so if you're not struggling to book out your calendar with your new AI growth infrastructure, right? You realize, okay, I'm going to put all the shiny objects into my business. I got this really cool AI system for my clients, but my calendar is still empty, right? If you're wondering, if your show rate's above 70%, let's just click off the video right now. I want people who have a bad show rate. Maybe they're sending outbound DMs or they're sending cold email and they're just getting a bad show up rate. That's the people I want to watch this video. Okay. So if your show up rate's already good, everybody shows up, which is probably not, then you can click off the video, right? If you don't spend your days sending DMs, making cold calls, sending emails, go ahead, click off the video. There's no reason for you to watch, right? I want to talk to people who are basically in the day-to-day battles of client acquisition, okay? Like trying to battle their way to the top every single day, all right? So first, let's go over the loop that you're actually stuck in where you are right now, right? You're probably juggling multiple systems, all right? So basically what I mean, and I'll use an example here in just a second. So multiple mediocre systems, if we just use simple reasoning, multiple mediocre systems give you a mediocre business, right? And so that's where I get the quote, as wide as an ocean, but actually as deep as a puddle, okay? Because you only have so much time. Like imagine you have 100% of time. You have X amount of time, which is the truth, right? And you try to manage this time over 5 different systems. You're building 5 different systems, right? You're putting all of your intellect, you're putting all of your thought, you're putting all of your mental fortitude, your energy into 5 different systems with only 100% of time. That means you're spending 20% of time on one system, 20% of time on the other, 20% of time on the other, and the other, and the other, and so forth for all the systems. Now, let's just imagine if you stretch yourself so thin between all of those systems, that means each of them is only going to be 20% effective. Now, what if you gave 100% of your time to one system and that system was 100% more effective because you spent all of the time you were on all of these 5 different systems, you bring that down to one system, and that allowed you to spend more energy on it, put more thought into it. You were more intellectual with this system because you basically didn't have to think about all this other fluff. It's way more effective. Therefore, it's going to make you way more money, right? And you can see this in Alex Hormozi's new video, okay? So Alex Hormozi saves this guy's garbage company. So this man has a garbage company. You're probably thinking, hey, Jude, how does this have anything to do with running an agency? But before Alex actually helped this man, this dude was trying everything, probably like a lot of us are doing right now. He's trying a ton of things. He's trying different channels. You're trying door-to-door, paid ads, outreach, a ton of different things. Until Alex actually said, wait, door-to-door is performing way better than any of the other things you're doing. Oh, I know it sounds crazy, but why don't we just go all in on that? Because that's working. Let's go in on that and scale the hell out of it, okay? And so I want to show you with a diagram how this actually works. And these are fake numbers, just so you know. I don't want anybody saying, Jude, I got 2 clients from sending 5 DMs, okay? That's not what I'm trying to say. You're missing the point. Percentage equals throughput on here, okay? So let's say you have 2 mediocre systems and you have 1 decent system. The first system has a 0.005% throughput rate. So let's just say you get 20,000. You do 20,000 of these and you get 1 client, which is obviously, I'm over exaggerating. Let's say you can only send 1,000 a day. Let's say you have another system that you do 2,000 and then you get 1 client. But let's say you can only do 150 a day, okay? And you can see that like this is the worst one, okay? And then this is obviously a little bit better, but it's still really bad. But then you have the last system, which is actually pretty decent. You have a 0.5% throughput rate. The yield is 1 client from 200, okay? But you can only do 30 a day. Why can you only do 30 a day? Because you're spending all this time on these other 2 systems that you should drop, if we're being completely honest. And so if this is 100% of your time, this is what your acquisition is going to look like, right? You're not going to have very many clients because it's going to be, your bucket's not going to be able to actually get as full as it possibly could if you're able to do this. Okay. So let's say you took Decent System 3, which is like producing a good result and had a 0.5% throughput rate. You get 1 client from doing 200. then you remove all this. You remove all this because this is the thing that's working. And then you just scale with a crap ton of talent and volume. Then you get a lot more clients. You make a lot more money because you're focusing your time on the thing that's working. Just like this guy in Alex Morsey's video, okay? And so I do not care how hard it is or how long it takes. That should be your goal, right? This should be your goal. Find one thing that works and stick to it. That's all we want to do, okay? So you're probably like just like the guy, right? You have yet to find something predictable that you can just scale, right? Like no predictability. And by the way, no predictability is such a stressful way to live your life, okay? Like not knowing where the next person's going to come from, not knowing where the next opportunity is going to come from, not knowing like where the next dollar bill in your bank account is going to come from. That's a stressful life. Like you're just living call to call. It's very stressful. Outbound appointments are probably not showing up, right? You're spending most of your time doing outbound only to realize that they're just not showing up. I mean, I can only tell you the amount of times I've taken photos of and like documented every time. A lot of times whenever my appointments wouldn't show up, I'd spend all day doing outbound. I'd book some appointments and they just wouldn't show up. And I always take a picture of it and be like, this is, and then just say something of the photo. But, you know, maybe you're at 0 to 20K a month, right? Maybe a one-man army, maybe a few team members, but you're basically struggling to maintain decent client results, right? And they probably don't pay you crap, to be honest, right? A bad offer, you know, got an offer that was built in smoke. You have no idea who exactly you're working with, what they actually want, what they need, and what you're doing for them down to a T. This is immensely important. This is your entire business. And most of you probably just have an offer, probably copied from somebody, right, that you saw was doing good in the space. But it's all built in smoke. Like you need to know exactly who you're working with, dial that in completely, learn everything about them, learn exactly what that market wants, learn exactly what they need, and then basically figure out what you're going to do for them. And you have to know all this down to a T, or else you're going to have a bad offer, okay? And then you probably have fulfillment that will literally land you in a courtroom. Like, this is not a joke. This is the truth for many different companies, right? You probably overpromise, underdeliver. Maybe you run ads for your clients with a shady media buyer, just to realize you've never actually done it for yourself. So, of course, you're going to hire somebody that's bad. And then their leads just aren't converting into appointments. If they do get leads, if only you could solve this unsolvable problem, which I'll show you a unique way that you can do this. And by the way, I'll show you how to create an insane offer that basically a different type of offer that performs really well in outbound, no matter what. Okay. And so this is literally you. This is literally you and bro. After you sign 4 clients you cannot fulfill on. All right. So if this is you better finish the rest of this video. Okay. So probably sending cold emails, cold DMs, or cold calling all day. I know you thought you were going to be like Eman Gadji and like being or the Wolf of Wall Street, being an absolutely huge house, but you're just looking like a Discord mod sending cold emails all day, right? It's very stressful. I know that. Your talent probably churns, right? Even if you even have any, okay? You can't facilitate an environment that's beneficial to success for your team, right? They're just not aligned with you. When you talk to them, you can realize you guys have different goals. You guys aren't aligned. They don't understand your business really. They're not putting in the work because they don't see you putting in the work. They don't understand your mission, then they don't perform. That's just what happens. And then they end up churning, they end up leaving, right? What about where you want to be? What about like the place that you want to be? You want to have one system, okay? You don't need 5 systems. You don't need 6, 7 systems. Like, you know, you only have one that just works, right? And then appointment booking is just basically easy. You've cracked it. You can finally live that laptop lifestyle, right? And you know where your next clients are going to come from, right? You've achieved sustainability. That's the most important thing, is just predictable acquisition. If nothing's predictable, things are going to be stressful, and then you won't be able to buy a Koenigsegg, right? Like this. They're cool cars. I'm not saying you're going to have one now at this position, but they're sick cars. You probably spend most of your time doing outbound, only to have none of your appointments actually show up, right? And we want to get you to a point that has, 60 to 80% of your appointments from outbound show up, right? Now we can fully, finally live that life at the operator, right? You got data, insights, social proof, experience. You're finally ready to scale. You've achieved 30K a month plus, okay? You got an unbeatable offer, irresistible by your market. I mean, even if your offer is not unbeatable, at least make it not a crap offer, all right? And so it has perfect alignment with your market. It's a no-brainer. You have so much leverage that prospects basically beg to pay your prices, all right? And so consistent results for your clients that pay you like crazy, when before they barely wanted to book an appointment with you. They did. Maybe they showed up, maybe they didn't. And then you basically collected breadcrumbs for your cost, right? For your ticket price. And so you're able to copy and paste a proven system into your client's business to get them a low cost per lead. And I mean, in a high lead to appointment ratio. This is what a lot of people don't understand. They find themselves running ads for their clients on a done for you basis. And then they're like, okay, well, none of these people are booking an appointment or showing up to their appointments. I'm not even in the ads marketing side of things. I'm in the call center business. Now I need to invest in the call center. Now I need to invest in appointment setting. And I'll show you how you can solve that problem here in just a second. And so you have optimized productivity, right? You spend your time working on things that actually move the needle forward. And then you have A players. Your team genuinely looks up to you, chases your vision with you, and overperforms, right? You're finally the Wolf of Wall Street. You got a nice house. You got a Koenigsegg, right? You got a Koenigsegg in the garage. You got a money bag, and you can go out for drinks with your friends, right? That's what we want. We want this. That's what we want, right? And so how do we actually bridge that gap for ourselves? I know these arrows look absolutely goofy on Miro, but yeah, that's just had to put that in there because they look so goofy compared to Lucid. I like Miro better though, to be honest. You probably believe like all you have to do is remove some limiting beliefs. Like that's it. I could give you a shiny object system or whatever, which I'm going to do here in just a second. Believe me. But like really, all you need to do is stop believing booking appointments is hard. Stop believing that, right? You just stop believing that talent will never want to do the work for you, no matter what. You got to stop believing, especially that A, B, or C doesn't actually work in your niche. You got to stop believing that, right? And then you got to stop believing that cold outbound show rates are just horrible by default, because they're not. That's not how it works, okay? And so this gap is simple. It's simple to bridge. Like I said, remove these limiting beliefs, and then I'll show you a shiny object system. But before you do this, nothing I show you will work for you. And I'll show you how that works in just a second. But by the end of this video, you'll have clarity on exactly how you can bridge this gap for yourself. I'll show you how you can create a blitz prospecting freebie offer that cold traffic cannot resist. Show you how you can have 1,300 plus verified leads every single week. How you can have a 60 to 80% show rate from cold traffic. How you can make it more predictable and book 2 to 7 appointments a day automatically. Sit your feet up, do nothing. Have 2 to 7 appointments a day on autopilot. And I'll show you how you can get prospects to literally thank you for booking them in. I can't even tell you the amount of times I've booked someone in. They've said, thank you, Jude, for allowing me to have 10 more minutes of your time or sit down with you for an hour and talk like this because it was so good. Okay. So you can be so good that people will literally thank you for booking them in. And I'll show you how to make that a reality for yourself. But before we get into the shiny objects, I want to show you why you're actually in this loop and how you can change. Because if I just go straight into the system and you don't understand what I'm about to tell you, which nobody tackles, you're going to be stuck forever. All right. So most people think it's action reaction. They think A to Z, right? They think input output. They think X and Y. In a sense, it is input output. It is action reaction. But what's going to happen if you think this? If you just think, oh, I'm going to do this 250 times today and get an immediate reaction, immediate payoff, you're basically taking action out of the wrong program, out of the wrong paradigm. And in a sense, it is action reaction, but I'll show you how it's wrong and what it actually looks like. Okay. First, it starts with belief and identity. You have to believe that you're different. You have to believe that you're no different. All these people you aspire to be like, all these people that you want to be like, they're no different than you at all. The same piece of God or perfection that's inside them is in you too. It dwells within you. And you have to believe this. You have to change your identity, and it starts with a decision. Okay, so if you have a bad belief system, a bad identity, you don't believe that it's possible for you, no amount of programs, courses, or volume of outreach is going to change that for you, and you're going to be where you are now forever. So that's why you see people getting into programs, but they still fail. Like if you had a program that 80% of people succeeded, but 20% of people failed, is the program bad? 20% of people weren't ready for it. All right, so if I just showed you a system that you could copy and paste, but you didn't understand how this works, honestly, it wouldn't even help you because you'd end up sabotaging it. Okay, so it starts with belief and identity. And then what do you get for that? You get no result. Change your belief and identity tonight. Tomorrow, you'll have the same life. It's just how it works. And you have to couple this with action, massive action, and insane work ethic. Okay, and after you do that, you'll get no result. I view this as the first test. After you change this, you do this, no result. That's the first test. How bad do you want it? Are you going to keep going with no result? Are you going to keep your head down and put in more action, which is the next thing, and then get no results again? And that's the second test. And then more actions, and then no result. That's the third test. And then you'll get reinforcement of basically your beliefs from the action. And that's called proof. You'll get proof of this, of you are who you think and say you are. You'll get breadcrumbs, all right? Truthfully, I don't know how long or how hard you'll have to work before you reach your goals. Everyone's goals are different. You know, you could have 20 or 30 of these. I mean, you can have a bunch of tests, right, before you actually achieve your goals. And usually right when it gets really, really, really hard and you're doubting more, that's when you're closer. Okay. Now, all this is going to compile into the thing that matters most. Okay. All of this is going to compile into the thing that matters most, which is feeling. That's what matters most. Feeling. Once you feel like you're there already from all of this, you feel like you're there. You don't even feel like it feels real now. It finally feels real. You're living from the end. Okay. Then you get an immediate payoff. Okay. So you have to understand that. And I am getting to the system. Just hold your horses, because this is probably the most important part of this video. Change does happen in an instant. It just doesn't happen overnight. And it always starts with a decision that you are where you are now because of your identity, and that you have control over that. All right. And so a very famous man who changed millions of people's lives, his name is Neville Goddard. He famously said, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Okay. So that's what I mean, is a ton of feeling after you go through this entire process makes you feel like it's real now. You already have it. And once you live from the wish being fulfilled, like nobody's different from you. All those guys you aspire to be that inspire you are no different from you at all. They literally just had more belief than you. They saw themselves differently than you. They are no different. And they have achieved nothing that you cannot achieve. Anyone that tells you different is an absolute liar. And you have to absolutely destroy anybody else's opinion about yourself when you actually start living from the wish fulfilled. Okay, so when you start to act from the end, act as if you've already achieved your goals. Nobody can affect you with their opinion. And if you focus on this with your whole heart and combine this with a crazy work ethic, you're literally unstoppable. Most people just do this, or most people just do this, or most people just do the work. When we can do both, that's when you're unstoppable. And so you can do your whole life with just brute force work, the whole life, without making a decision to change your identity. But once you make that decision to change your identity, you're automatically going to start going up on this upward ascent. Okay. And then you're going to couple that with more work. And then eventually, I don't know how long this is going to take, but it's going to absolutely skyrocket you immediately. And I know this is a horrible drawing. It's like absolutely horrible, but just stick with me. Okay. Now let's actually get into the system. How do you make more clients inevitable? How do you make client acquisition inevitable? How do you get more clients inevitably? Of course, before we get started, if you're looking for 5 different shiny object systems or AI or this and that, click off the video. Like, I want people who just want to focus on one thing, make it work, and scale that one thing. Okay. So like I said, I'm only going to show you one system, but boy, does that one system work. Okay. So how do you get more clients inevitably? Let's break it down to the bare bones of things, like literally the bare bones of things. Let's go really, really, really simple. You got to find people with a problem. Okay. Businesses wouldn't exist without problems. Find people with a problem, find a way you solve that problem for them. Okay. And then you got to find those people with a problem at volume. Okay. And then you're going to get their attention. Then you're going to convert their attention. And then you're going to recruit talent and scale that system. All right. Now, there's more to it, but in simple man's terms, that's it. So I could literally just end the video here. I wouldn't be fulfilling on my promise at the beginning of this video. And to be honest, all the systems you hear about, they work. They do work. But I want to show you the best system and how it's built and how you can deploy this system for yourself. And so what is it? Well, it's commission-only cold calling. And I know it's not as sexy as you thought, but just wait. I'm going to break down every single step of this system. I'll show you how you can implement it for yourself. And by the end, you'll know your exact next steps to take to do this all for yourself, okay? So let's get right into the system. How about, shall we? Okay. So first, you need to start with 1,300 plus verified phone numbers every single week. All right. And you can see our Google Docs right here. We've built out this entire system for us. And this is what our internal partners get access to. And so I'm not going to break down every single one. I'm just going to go over the system at an overview. Okay. So we're going to scrape from LinkedIn Sales Navigator. All right. We're going to filter by location. And this is going to give us high quality verified phone numbers. You know, you can also use something called clearoutphone.io if you want to verify them even more. So we're going to scrape 1,000 leads with basically whatever software you're choosing. We're basically going to do 1,000 at a time just so we're getting the maximum amount of leads per location. Okay, so we're going to do per location 1,000 leads at a time. That's also usually the most that they can do. We use a software that can do a lot more than that. And so if you want to know which softwares we use, you can just basically stay till the end. Okay, we're going to compile a list of 3.5K. You can see one of our leads lists right here before we export it. Then you're just going to enrich with the database of your choice, right? Enrich with whatever enrichment database you want to use. Download a sheet, and then you're going to clean it. Of course, we have our own, basically, SOPs right here to do that for ourselves. Next, you're going to need a calling software. Now, you can use whatever software you want. You can use Go High Level, Google Voice. There's a bunch of different ones. Close has a dialer. What are some other ones? I think there's one called Just Call. There's one called Hot Prospector. That's a really good one. Just make sure there's spam and spam risk prevention. So that's going to influence your pickup rate a lot. If people just see spam risk a bunch, they're not going to pick up. And you can add different. Make sure you can add different users to actually scale the system, and it's actually going to be affordable and make sense. Now, for the offer side of things, you want to make sure you have market alignment. Okay, you want to make sure you have market alignment, and then you want to create a freebie offer. So we call it a Blitz prospecting freebie offer, and you can see how how we structure our freebie offer in here, so that we can book a ton more appointments outbound, right? Then you're gonna have to build your prospecting script. So this is basically built from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours on the phone talking to humans within your niche, okay, within your industry. And so there are a lot of things that go into that, right? It's hard. It's not easy. It's incredibly energetically taxing. And so we want to craft an opener, and we want to test per 500 to 1,000 calls, one opener, version 1.1.0, and then we want to craft our pitch, right? Version 1.0 of our pitch, tested from 500 to 1,000 calls at a time. The next is we want to establish our tonality. This obviously comes from just a bunch of calls, man. Your tonality is going to come from just doing a ton of volume and learning from the right people, right? So you then want to make at least 250 calls a day. I know some people tell you make 100 calls a day, make 150 calls a day, but double dial 250 people a day, literally. Like from these verified phone numbers, double dial them 250 people a day. Tons of trial and error, hundreds and hundreds of hours on the phone testing different variables. By variables, I mean like things like tonality, script, offer, opener, objection handling, and just even the things that go into building all those things, right? You're going to achieve a 60 to 80% show rate. So we're going to schedule people within 1 to 2 days, or as soon as possible, even same day, right? We want these people to be scheduled as quick as possible. Since it is cold, we want them to be scheduled as quick as possible. Then we want three-way messages, right? Let's see, let me make sure these are, like, you can actually see these. Three-way messages. So that means we basically make a three-way group chat with whoever booked in the appointment, the person who's going to take the appointment, and the prospect, right? Next thing is calendar automations, right? These need to be dialed. And so you can see we obviously have our own internal resources on crafting an entire calendar. We're going to have to make a cold prospecting VSL because we want them to be warm. We want them to be as warmed up as we possibly can, right? The more energy we can get people to spend before they meet with us, the higher likelihood that they're going to close. And then we just want to double dial them 2 hours before their appointment. This is called reminder calls. So you can see the everything that we have for our own reminder calls. This is really important. This is also going to help with your appointment setting process. All right. And then honestly, just make good calls, man. Just make good calls. You'd be surprised how many people show up to their appointments just because how good you are on the phone. To be honest, like I said in the beginning, people will literally thank you for booking. I've had people be like, I usually yell at people like you. Hey, I hate cold calls. I hate this. You're just so good. Like, you're just so good on the phone. I wish I could hire you. Like, I'm going to book you. I'm going to give you the appointment just because of that. Like, you'd be surprised on just making good calls, how much that will actually do for your business. And then obviously you want to create SOPs around all of this whole entire system. Okay. And because we're just getting started. And then you're going to track key metrics. So you can see our tracker right here. And so you then want to tweak and test the system until you're in KPI. Okay. Very simple. Next, you're going to want to scale the system. So first you're going to need talent, right? You're going to have to source talent from Indeed, ads, referrals, LinkedIn. You can see our own recruitment funnel here, what we use to recruit cold callers. Then you're going to want to hire them, right? So you can see our entire process for hiring cold callers and appointment setters. Pay them per qualified show and per closed deal. So something like $25 to $30 per qualified show and $150 to $250 per closed deal, maybe 10% of what you make, right? And then you're actually you got to pay them out with, we use a software called Remitly. go ahead, take your interviews. You can see some interviews that we've taken, and then you're going to want to build a setting pool. So basically, you're going to build a talent pool inside of Airtable. You can see we've got one of our Airtable forms right here. I'm not going to go through it, but it automatically populates inside of an Airtable talent pool. You're going to want to document your system. So document this entire thing that you've built for yourself, and then document that entire thing through SOPs. So you can see our SOP hub. We've got a ton of different SOPs in there so that people can know exactly what they need to do and how they can succeed as a cold caller. Build the SOPs, record the trainings. We record our trainings inside of our school community. So you can, honestly, you can join that free community. There's callers in there as well, but we train our callers inside of our school community. You see that we host our systems there. Host the trainings, set expectations with your scorecard and your company culture, basically. So you're going to work with a lot of hungry, determined talent, sometimes with really high expectations, to be honest. So it's important that you level with them so that they realize it's not going to be easy. You really want to hire fast and fire fast. Like, you want to show them it's not going to be easy. You can see some of the documents that we use and here that show our payment package and why it makes sense, everything like that. And just basically set the expectations for them, because it's not going to be easy. Like, it's not an easy job. And these people need to know that, quite frankly, okay? Because you'll work with a lot of people who have really high expectations. And then you're going to onboard them, add them to WhatsApp or Discord. You can message with them. If you have a ton of them, I'll just make a Discord server for them. But if you just have like three or four, you can totally do this on WhatsApp and just do WhatsApp group calls, no problem. And then you want to demo the system for them. You want to actually give them live examples of you doing the thing yourself. You can see a video right here of me cold calling agency owners. And then, of course, like scheduling shadowing sessions and mock calls. All right, this is like role plays. That's really important. So when you actually onboard somebody, you're going to shadow their first session of cold calling so that you can be with them every step of the way. And then you're going to want to add them to Discord, right, with all of our Zapier automations, basically with whatever automations that you are going to have in place for maybe EOD reports or anything like that. Then you're going to want to manage these people, talk and train them every day, make sure they're submitting their end-of-day reports daily, make sure they're tracking their data, showing up the weekly calls, make sure you're running weekly bonuses, make sure they have CRM access if of course, if it applies, and doing their reminder calls. Make sure you record calls for public and private feedback. So you can do feedback in public over your calls, or you can do feedback in private. You can motivate them daily, create videos, and basically call them out, the ones that are doing really good. Okay, so this is how you scale that system. This is how you hire people and manage them, okay? And so the next thing what we've built now is leverage. Because you've built a pool, you can basically have your talent pool, right? And you can just basically use that and get inbound appointment setters for your clients now. Okay, so you're going to add them to Discord with the Zapier automations. You see our automation templates right there. And then they'll basically need access to your CRM. Maybe it's Go High Level, so that they can see when the leads are actually coming through. Setting up Go High Level, making calls at Go High Level. You see all of our SOPs for this. And then you're basically going to build an inbound call center for your done-for-you ads clients. Okay, you're going to triage each lead within 3 to 5 minutes. Speed the leads, very important. Conducting triage calls or triaging script. You're going to handle reminder calls for them. So you're going to be calling them around 2 hours before the actual appointment on the same day, double dialing them, and then tracking. You're going to track the key metrics. For this is a little bit different, right? We're going to track connects. We're going to track how many people we dialed. You're going to track the amount of leads that came in that day. And then you're basically going to tweak and test the system until you're in KPI, right? And then you're just going to manage them. And the reason it's so important is that agencies basically think they're just going to run ads and place an appointment setter, and they realize it's just not that easy. You're in the call center business, my friend, okay? And so you're going to talk and train them every day, make sure they submit their end-of-day reports. You can see our own end-of-day reports for our triagers, and then make sure they're tracking their data and showing up to weekly training calls, assign bonuses from leaderboards, or you can just run weekly bonuses like you do for your cold callers, and then make sure they have CRM access, record calls for feedback, motivate daily, right? Very similar to building an outbound calling team, but a little bit different, of course. But this is real leverage, because this is going to get you better client results, and that's going to make you more money, more clients, more referrals. And so what if you try to do this yourself? Let's go over some of the challenges you're going to have if you try to implement this system, right? First of all, you're going to run into bad talent. Okay. If you do this yourself, it's going to cost you a ton of time and resources, and you're going to face bad talent, right? Just got to hire fast, fire fast. Like, they need to know if they're not hitting their numbers, they're out. That's just how it has to be. You're going to run into underperforming talent. This is obviously separate from bad talent. Just because they underperform doesn't mean they're bad. Just because you may have an A player dialer, but their output is terrible because of the incentive. It could be bad leads. Maybe there's misalignment, maybe misunderstanding, low motivation, bad communication. You got to do the hours yourself, man. And you got to keep doing the hours yourself, even when you have a team, because they need to be like, I'm doing my numbers a day, and Jude is doing double mine. He's doing it every single day. He's documenting it. That guy's on the ball. Like, I want to be like him. I want to learn from him. That's what you want them to think. Misalignment, right? So your business and offer just don't make sense, bro. Okay, so again, that means you just have to go back to the drawing board and do the hard work again if you need, okay? So just not enough talent, right? Sourcing talent takes time. You're busy with a ton, and this requires extensive vetting, interviewing, training, and managing, okay? And just untrained, right? You haven't put in the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of calling yourself and actually building this thing for yourself. Your callers aren't going to perform, right? They're just going to they have to basically come into something that's already working. You already know what you're doing. You can basically tell them every single thing they need to do, SOP it all out, and then boom, then they'll work. But if you don't have that, which is built from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours on the phone calling yourself, it's not going to work, okay? They need everything that's proven in order to succeed in their position. And if you don't have these things, then your talent's going to churn. So I'm going to show you how you can do this for yourself for completely free and how you can actually implement this for yourself, okay? So stick around for this next part of the video where I show you how to implement this system for free. So before we get into this, nothing changes if nothing changes. I'm sure you've heard that saying a billion times, or I don't want to be another guy who says that to you, but basically you implement this system for free. You can implement the system with none of those downsides, and I'll show you how to do it, okay? So this is my offer to you. You can struggle, you can put in the blood, sweat, and tears, try to build this whole thing yourself, or you can be like Neville, and you can act from the wish fulfilled. If you felt in your heart right now like you already had it, it's already yours. You already have the car. You already have the amazing business that you want. And if, like Neville understands, if you want to actually change, and like I explained earlier, it starts with a decision. It starts with one decision that you want to make things different, and then things can finally change. Okay, so I've literally been locked away in my room. I've been gathering all the data and insights to be able to build the system that I'm going to be unveiling to you today. And so I'm ready to help you implement everything. And this partnership is not available. You have to qualify for it. It's not widely available to everybody. And I don't say that just to be like shiny marketing. I'm saying it's not available because it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. And these calls are honestly pretty long on average because they're implementation. So it's not available for everyone. You do have to qualify for it because I only want to work with a specific type of business, okay? So fill out the application below. See if you qualify for our implementation call. And seriously, like, we're only looking to work with a specific type of business. Don't book in if you don't qualify, right? So these implementation calls can take a while. So the amount of a week that we do is actually capped. And like, we're not going to take a ton of these a week because they take a lot of time. And basically they're limited, okay? So my gift to you for actually sticking around till the end of this video and watching the whole full thing, for the next 5 people who book an implementation with us, you're going to use our insights over tons of cold calls. So you're going to get our prospecting script, the way that we handle objections. You're going to get access to our tonality. We're going to help you create a prospecting VSL, a cold prospecting VSL for your industry to increase prospect warmth and to also increase your show rate. You can use our Blitz. You can literally just copy and paste our Blitz prospecting freebie offer directly into your business, and we'll teach you how to sell it and still collect cash. All right. We'll show you basically how you can achieve a 60 to 80% show rate, right? We're going to employ our prospecting show rate system directly within your business, as well as pre-framing the show, pre-qualifying every single prospect before we book them in. And then you're basically going to get our dialing infrastructure deployed in your business completely done for you. Like, we'll take our infrastructure and just put it into your business completely done for you in a day. Okay. And then we're going to done for you without you having to touch a button. We're going to basically scrape 1,300 plus verified leads every single week with the process that we showed you today for you completely. You'll have 1,300 plus verified phone numbers of qualified business owners in your industry, just like that every single week. Okay. Then you're going to leverage our recruitment system, our training system, our talent pool to access qualified, trained, and vetted dialers at any time. And then we'll also actually help you build an inbound call center for your done for you ads clients. So you're literally going to get talent as well. So that thus making this entire system automated, right? And we'll literally ensure predictability by giving you our entire tracking system that's going to track absolutely everything necessary, basically to make sure your numbers are staying within KPI, okay? And so this is really important. I'm not going to show you how to get rich quick. Don't book this call in if you're looking to get rich quick. I'm not going to show you how to become an overnight success. I'm not going to make you $1 million in 90 days. I'm not going to make you $100K a month in a month, okay? If you aren't coming into this call ready to grind, ready to not take shortcuts, ready to not expect some unrealistic transformation, don't book the call if that's you. Don't book the call if you're expecting something unrealistic. You're not ready to grind. You're not ready to, you're trying to take shortcuts. You don't qualify, okay? But if that's not you, I'm probably going to close my calendar after this week. Just to be honest, like I'm probably just going to close it and continue building because I'm actually taking these calls myself. Like you will see me on the call with you. So you better book this implementation now before I charge like 10 grand for this whole thing. And the bonuses are only available to the first 5 people who show up. And so you can just basically click, see if you qualify below, and then we can just speak soon. All right. And so that was our free training. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped you. And yeah, my name is Jude Patton, and peace.